Hello there, this is Critical from Critical Media, just taking a look at Marvel's Epic Collection release of Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, Volume 1. Now, this is a series that predominantly collects a lot of the Dark Horse Dawn of the Empire storyline, and that's a storyline from 2012, brought to us by, thankfully, John Ostrander. Once again, you might have heard that name before here, and of course, Jan Duursema, and she is the consistent artist throughout the entire story. The story consists essentially of 15 issues, 16 if you count the handbook issue, issue 0. But we'll just take a look at an overview of what to expect on the exterior, any bonuses, and a few plot points, and a brief little review. Now, as mentioned, this is from the Dark Horse era, so 2012. So once again, I appreciate everything they've ever done for Star Wars. A lot of my childhood is from those Star Wars books. Helped me mold what the future of Star Wars was and what the past was. So a lot of lore found, thankfully, from Dark Horse. So thank you, Marvel, for at least reprinting it. As you can see, it's very, traditional to the Epic Collection line where, yeah, it has the same formatting as you'll kind of notice from the Dark Empire right there. And, not much going on here. This is like issue 0's cover. Meanwhile, this is, I believe, one of the final covers of the Force Wars storyline. So, anywho, in terms of like the beginning, more so just promotional material for the other series you can buy. I won't lie, I am fancying Rise of Sith, although it doesn't tell the story I'm thinking of, but hey, it's still good. And as you'll see, you really just get a table of contents and jump right into the story. So in that light, on the back side of things, you'll see kind of these pages here. They look like a handy book. This was actually from the 0 issue. So technically there's 16 issues, but this is what the, so to speak, very first issue was, issue 0. It's just basically a compendium of sorts. And you'll see just a few variants. Not bad. Actually, it's pretty decent in that sense. And as I said, it's more promotional. That's kind of typical with these Epic collections. They're not, I wouldn't really hate on them too much, but they're more so designed as trade paperbacks to promote other books. Well, it kind of worked on me, I guess, because there it is, Dark Empire, right? So anywho, how about some plot points? So if you are spoiler concerned, I don't try to go too far into the core concepts. I don't try to go into the nitty gritties, but just maybe some core points. So in this case, I'll just explain where the story takes place. So it's 36,000 years before A New Hope. So that's even predating the Republic itself, which is like 25,000 years old. And if you're thinking of the video game like Knights of the Old Republic or the Old Republic era, that was actually just 4,000 years prior to A New Hope. Like I said, the seeds of this story start 36,000 years. And it just starts off with the seeds of the story, as I mentioned, where it's just explaining how, out of nowhere, these mysterious ships called the Thoyor appear throughout the galaxy, particularly the Outer Rim. And they pick up a lot of the more popular, I guess, races or species of Star Wars. So, yes, there was the Daibendu, of course, Wookiees of Kashyyyk, the Dathomiri of Dathomir, or at least the present Dathomiri. And, yeah, of course, Star Wars wouldn't be Star Wars without some Twi'leks, right? So, yeah, you got some Ryloth going on there, and Manan. But essentially, these ships, they come out of nowhere, but they basically harvest, not in a bad way, more so it calls the Force sensitives to the ship, almost like a welcome home kind of thing. And as you see, it brings them to a mysterious system, eventually known as the Tython system, and they go to the actual planet itself. It almost looks like Asgard here. But essentially, this world is so rich in the Force and so sensitive to it that it really does take a Force-sensitive person to survive on it. The weather can be tumultuous just based on your emotions. So eventually, folks here, they of course have offspring, but not everyone is Force-sensitive, so they eventually migrate to the other worlds in the system. I'm just trying to more so set the stage here for you so you know what you'd be getting into, so to speak. So I just want to grab one of these last pages here. Oh, there's the Thoyor again. More so just the populated systems here for you, just before we go further. There we go. Call it the settled worlds. So that's what I mean. The Thoyor, they deliver everyone to the planet Tython with its 2 light and dark side moons. But for the folks who, as I said, aren't force sensitive, they eventually migrated and colonized the other worlds. So, you know, you have your typical industrial, you have the more criminal underground world, that would be like Shikakwa. But yeah, as you can kind of grasp the idea of their system and what's involved. And this is an era before hyperspace was achieved and light speed was common, right? So it was actually very difficult to get here and there. Like, if once you're in the system, it takes a long time to even travel to anywhere else. The only kind of species that can do that are the Rakatan. So anywho, speaking of the Rakatan there, essentially they do enter the story as the main antagonists. So I just wanted to bring up a page here that just introduces those characters. So we have, of course, your Darth Vader analog here in the character of Zesh. You have the big bad, let's call his analog the Emperor in Skulnas, or should I say Praetor Skulnas. And of course there's Trill, Tulkar, but you don't have to worry about him for too long. Essentially, this character Zesh, as I said, a Darth Vader analog, he's a Force Hound. He's sent out to go hunt out, of course, Force sensitives, because the Rakatan Empire, the Infinite Empire, they merge their technology with the Force, the dark side of the Force. And it helps them achieve a lot of things. As I said, they're like the only species that has hyperspace readily available. This is the same species that basically turned Tatooine into a desert. It used to be a lush planet, and thanks to these guys, it became the desert planet that we all know and love, of course. But anywho, you have your heroes of the story. There are actually quite a few, but it really does kind of center on 3 particular characters. If I can get to that bloody page. There we go. So yes, we have the, of course, Sith species, Jedi and Seknos Wrath. Of course, the Twi'lek Tashario, and the Dathomiri Shea Koda. Now, these are going to be your main protagonists. As you can see, there's Zesh there. And yes, throughout the story, you'll get 3 different arcs. So this is a part of the first arc called Force Storm. So yes, it's more of an introduction, but thankfully it's well paced out. So now you have just our next one here, which is the Prisoner of Bogan storyline. This actual page is from the ending, literally the last page of the first arc. There's the beginning of Prisoner of Bogan. But I just wanted to highlight this page since it is about this man, Dagan Locke, who's my personal favorite character of the story, and also is our introduction into the concept of Dark Jedi. You know, like having those more expanded beliefs. Or, you know, just being jailed just because you're right, apparently, and nobody wants to accept it. So pretty nifty there. I just wanted to also highlight here, just one page here, the whole crux of this story. So it does center around, as usual with Star Wars, there's some sort of weapon, some sort of galactic threat. And in this case, it's more of a teleportation ring, so to speak. Remember, once again, hyperspace is not common. So these are called infinity gates, where you just walk through it and you're on another part of the galaxy. Or you fly a large ship through it, same idea. But what if you throw a weapon through it? Now you can fire it anywhere. So I guess that's the, as usual with Star Wars, some sort of technological menace to the galaxy. There you go, yet again. George Lucas always wanted to hint that industry could also be our downfall. There you go, kind of thing. And that's basically the heart of what the Rakatans want. So just a page there from Prisoner of Bogan, and just a little sample of the third arc, which is called Force War, aptly named, as you can see here, where it's the big showdown. Now, at least in terms of a brief review, it is a very well-contained story. Like I mentioned earlier, having Duursema on the whole story, I love when companies do that. They actually value what this story's significance will be. So I appreciate that when it's like a writer an artist working together. It's like a director, cinematographer, basically on the same page with the editor, all working together. And that's why this story does definitely pop out. That's why I don't own a lot of, the epic collections out there. I'm very picky choosy. Believe me, I would have the Thrawn trilogy if I could as well. But this is definitely a worthy story. I love John Ostrander as well. He's given me great memories as well, so I'm happy that this is here. If anything, I do find some parallels, like the whole concept of, these random mysterious ships coming out of nowhere does remind me of other stories of the time. Like this was 2012. I think Jupiter's Legacy, very well received book, in my opinion. The book is way better than the show. Let's just put it that way. But it does have a similar idea that this had toward how, the Force sensitives became eventually the Jedi. So very interesting concept, and that's right. But if I had to give it a number, even though I don't like doing it, it seems like I had my arm twisted every time. I would definitely give this maybe a 9 out of 10 because it does feel right. Like you do get the whole story through this book. So just another beauty there. Hey, eventually I will build up the Star Wars catalog a little bit more. Maybe I'll do some more videos. But hey, wouldn't mind hearing your opinions about this book and maybe any others. But hey, just let me know what you think. I wouldn't mind reading your comments down below. You folks take care and enjoy the rest of your day.